They're just chilling.
Here we go.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlong, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It is Big Wild Wednesday. Woo! Here in Fresno, California. Again, you thought I was gone. A lot of you folks thought I was gone.
I try to cancel you, and I just can't.
Guillermo, you've tried. You fired me 5 times. I still keep coming to the studio. Sure, I'm going to do. Let the old man in there. Jeremy, let him get in his seat there.
Fired up.
But, you know, I look there. If you've been mayor for 8 years, City of Fresno, or in public office at all, you'll relate to this. Somebody once told me, Autry, when you die, you're going to have about 10,000 people at your funeral. 5,000 are going to be crying. The other 5,000 are going to make sure you're dead. So that's kind of how I feel about the audience when you decide to go into political talk radio. Oh, thanks for luring me into that, Guillermo. You know, I used to be welcome at every party.
Until you start hanging around with me.
Yeah, I was like the non-threat here in Fresno. Oh, let's have Bubba here. He's a nice little oddity. Little local oddity.
Come on.
And then once I decided to run for mayor, boy, you get marked off half of those party lists. Then you start making decisions that affect people. And next thing you know, you're an island of yourself. No friends.
I'm your friend.
Yeah, you are my friend.
Well, I'm like the other island by yourself. So we're 2 islands together in paradise.
No, you told me. You're masquerading as a friend. Right before the show, folks.
Wow.
Oh, you know how I know this? You know how I know this? Go tell the folks right now what you told me, what you almost did, what you almost spent $200 on as a gift to me.
George.
Now you listen to this story and you tell me this guy to my right is my friend. And by the way, Jeremy, big shout out because here on social media you have the Alan Autry Show, and it cuts me right where my sagging breasts normally show my nipples through, and I look like. But look at this. I'm flexing up. See. Always remember, cut me right there, okay? Because that doesn't look too bad, does it? Look, you see I'm flexing? It should go like this. Look at there. Oh, my gosh. I need a brosier. Holy cow. Go back. Tell the folks.
That's for the paid subscription. We won't have a lower third.
Okay, but tell the folks. Listen to this story. Honest to goodness, folks. As if everything I say, I've said prior to this is a lie. I want people to go, no, this is the truth.
I do that sometimes.
Oh, gosh. Tell the folks what you told me. What you almost did, but you were so cheap you didn't do it. Not out of love for me.
I'm so cheap.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so listen, I got to get you a Christmas gift, and this thing popped up in my news feed. Mm-hmm. The one and only, the congressional icon himself, George Santos, the disgraced congressional icon, is charging $200 for a cameo. Now, if you don't know what cameo is, you pay a celebrity, someone famous, you pay them, and they'll record a special message. So I thought, what?
And give you a shout out.
So I was like, you know what? But then I was like, $200. Like, I don't know. And
are you following this, folks?
It wasn't because you're not worth the $200. It was just that I don't want George Santos to have my $200. But I could write it off as a business expense. Okay, I'm surprised. Okay,
this man came this close, a frog hair away. From telling George Santos, hey, I want to give a special greeting to my good friend Alan Autry. He taught me, hey, you wonder how I learned how to lie? You want to learn how I learned how to exaggerate? Well, it's old Alan Autry. Remember the guy, Bubba, on the heat of the night? This guy almost did that.
No, I'm going to have him do for your birthday.
And you call me
No, I'm going to pay
your
him,
friend.
Listen, I'm going to pay him $400. George, if you're listening, I'm going to pay you $400 if for Alan's birthday you sing like Marilyn Monroe.
Now listen.
Happy birthday,
Mr.
Bubba.
Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, happy birthday.
You do that almost too good.
I'm getting ready for my part. I'm getting ready for my part.
Do you sing that for Esther every time she has a birthday?
No, I don't.
Is your mom?
No.
Ms. Moreno would slap you silly if you did that.
She, by the way, my mom thinks I'm way too hard, like on the show. Like I need to be nicer.
Well, to me,
how?
you almost sent to George Santos guy a shout out to me thinking that was going to be, oh, so funny.
You would have loved it.
Huh?
You would have loved it.
God, I'd had to get on this show for 3 weeks straight going, I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with that.
Start a GoFundMe
I got
page.
enough problems. I got enough people perceptions of me. For one, let's get on the subject.
All right.
You know, I'm going to go not total Mark Levin, not total Officer Tatum when they go off, but I am going to do the Alan Autry version of going off on this nonsense. Whether you love Trump, hate Trump, somewhere in the middle, I love him as I would love anybody. My Christian faith demands that I love everyone. I don't have to like everybody. But please, this drumbeat that President Trump, former President Trump, wants to be a dictator. And if he is elected, will become a dictator. Let me tell you how crazy this has become until you consider the source. I think Liz Cheney has legitimately 100% lost a portion of her mind. I think there's still some there, Guillermo, but did you see what she said yesterday?
Yeah.
Now, here's the ultra-conservative on the Rachel Maddow show. So she gets points for reaching across the aisle, figuratively speaking, in the media. Right? She's on Rachel Maddow with this clarion call warning that if you vote for Trump this coming election, it may be the last vote that you ever take because he's going to take away your right to vote as a dictator. Completely serious as a massive heart attack. What do you say that? I'm sitting there, my mouth's open, the gate going, that woman did not just say that. I saw how she was going crazy on January 6th. Can you hate somebody so bad that an otherwise intelligent person, college graduate who heretofore seemed pretty reasonable, voted for Trump 92% of the time, can be so full of hate that they completely lose their mind and say something as stupid as that?
Do we have the clip? No? Oh, okay.
Do we have it?
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Not that I don't believe you that she said that. But.
If you told me that, I wouldn't believe you.
Okay.
Generally speaking.
No, that's Rhea Paul. I'm sorry. That's Rhea Paul. That's not Liz Cheney. I want that clip, too. I'm looking for the Cheney thing is there. I tried to lift it off the internet yesterday. It's like the 12-minute version. So I'll send it to Jeremy. He'll have it for a Thursday or Friday. She did say that.
Yeah, she did. And when someone has so much hatred for someone, or it's kind of like, well, she's not in love with Donald Trump, but I think it would work out better. When you're in love with someone, you have those rose-colored glasses.
Oh, she's in love with him. She wants to be one of the dominatrix. You should marry him just to be able to beat the crap out of him. No, she would. She would have that devious plan.
Oh, man.
Let's get married, and
having
leave Melania for her. Next thing you know, he wakes up with chains chained to the with one of those spike collars around it.
And then her father will get in.
And
on
she'll
that
walk
too.
in saying to him, "I'm the government and I'm here to help you."
Oh man,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So it's kind of like that where you said it perfectly. She has so much hatred in her heart that she's willing, and this is just with the individuals, I think, in the media in general. They have so much hatred in their heart that they'll say anything. It doesn't matter if it's just not even true anymore because they hate them that bad. They have one goal, Alan, and that goal is to keep Donald Trump from the White House, whatever it takes, by any means necessary. So anything that you hear, I think, from now going forward, I want you to do your research, but also be suspect. But Liz Cheney is probably as credible as George Santos.
She lost by 60 points or something like that in her own state. But it's okay. Follow-up question.
Yeah.
you've obviously shown your extreme hate for President Trump, not just non-support, just visceral, brain-eating, soul-withering hate towards an individual. And I have my theory of where that comes from. I think she reluctantly supported Trump because she had no place to go. But Trump just really went after Bush, went after her father.
Yeah.
Big time. So you go after daddy. It was a blood feud. She was going to get him back and was just looking for an opening. But does it not, by saying something like this, that Trump in 4 years, even if he wanted to, was going to be able to accrue the power to be a dictator and take away the vote of the American people? That's what there's a separation of powers. You'd have to get Senate approval, House approval. You can't. Most you can do is a presidential special order decree, executive order. It's impossible for you to become a true dictator, to take away the vote of an individual. So this is the question, and then you can go whatever you want to from the answer to this. But I want you to, Ed, in your opinion, because I value your judgment, except when you were going to get George Santos to give me a shout out.
I still might now.
Payback is really going to be fun. No, how disrespectful and low self-esteem do you hold in your mind towards anyone you think that would believe that? That anyone would be influenced, that you know you're not going to influence anybody on the right. Now, Mitt Romney, he's got his own problems with it. He's not going, but you think you're going to have anyone in their right freaking mind to believe that if you elect Trump, he has the ability to take a dictator? And by the way, when Trump was president, he didn't make me put a experimental drug in my arm. He didn't shut schools down so my kids couldn't go to school and support that. Sounds like a dictator to me. But he didn't do that. He didn't try to take away the Second Amendment rights that we all have. He didn't start talking about packing the Supreme Court, attacking the Constitution. And they said this guy's a threat to the Constitution, when it's Biden and Liz Cheney with these trumped up charges on January 6th that are acting like dictators and dictatorettes.
Yeah. Are you guys getting high off these fumes? Just
me. That was John Kerry. that was John Kerry and Eric Swalwell. Did you have them in here?
Do you smell the tar?
Did you see that Kerry farted during his...
I know Swalwell did.
No, John Kerry
John Kerry did too.
Yeah, right in the middle. He was saying about how these...
The guy's old. Give him a break.
No, but Kerry's there talking. What's so called comedy is just... God's got a sense of humor. He's there lecturing the world about these people that don't support reducing the toxic gases that are killing people all over the world. Right when he said that here. And the lady next to her reacts, goes and puts her hand up next to her nose. He looks down. He knows what he's done. He's got no choice but to keep burrowing through. But it couldn't have happened at a better time. But you know how easy to derail me. It's been a while.
Well, I think
all right, tell him about the disrespect he must have for somebody that would believe that if Trump took office, that he could even become a dictator.
Alan, it doesn't go with just Liz Cheney. It goes with the entire alphabet soup. They believe that the American people are incompetent, stupid, and dumb. They believe
and if you go to an Ivy League school, you're right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You believe Hamas is out there supporting St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
It's insulting, Alan. And we've seen, no kidding. We've seen media, the left, and I'll tell you this too, even far right-wing media as well. We've seen them treat the American people as if they're dumb as rocks. And I find that insulting, and so should you. And I've also said this many times. There's no, and I'll knock on wood. In our history, and I would say for the next 100 to maybe, I'd say 100 years, the way our institutions are set up, you cannot have an American dictator. It's just not going to happen. The way our institutions are set up, our separation of powers,
founding fathers.
It is not. It is not. Let me take a step back.
As you tell me, preach on, brother. Go ahead.
Let me just tell you this: the bureaucracy, right? Let's just start there, okay? Even Donald Trump himself, remember when he was running in 2016, I'm going to drain the swamp. He was there for 4 years. The bureaucracy still stayed there.
And freedoms flourished.
And so and let me take a step back. In order for him to be a dictator, you would have to somehow disassemble Congress, arrest all of them, or send them all home to their district. Donald Trump is not going to bring forth on the House floor the House Resolution Donald Trump Dictator HR 1. And all of them are going to vote. It's just not the way it works. If you're telling the American people, and this goes to conservatives as well, because conservatives have had this argument where, Joe Biden's going to end democracy, or that they're going to end.
But he's actually trying.
But it won't.
No, he is. I mean, as we know it.
Yeah,
he didn't want to turn into a Putin, but he does. Go ahead.
It's not going to happen. Folks, the way our institutions are set up.
As long as we stick with the Constitution.
As long as we stick with the Constitution, we're going to be fine. And let me tell you, throughout American history, when we first were founded, Congress had an oversized role, and then it started giving more of its power to the executive branch of government. And then the Supreme Courts during the Supreme Court during the Civil Rights era, they really just kind of got a foothold. The three branches of government at all times respect each other, and they've allowed this institution and this great experiment to flourish. It's not going to happen. Liz Cheney thinks you're stupid, as well as the other alphabet soup.
I'm just sitting there amazed. I'm just listening to you. I mean, do you tell your kids? By the way, the guy sitting next to me is teaches out at Reedley College, political science. Is it?
Yeah,
political science. Yeah. Do you tell these things like this to the kids?
Yeah.
You need to.
Yeah.
They need to hear the alternative to what they're being taught, because that was beautifully said, and that's why your voice needs to be. And this is all kidding aside. I'll forgive him for the moment that he almost threw me under the bus with George Santos, and just so how much I absolutely very well stated, Mr. Moreno. It's and do we have that? We're going to go to break here, and I'm going to see if Jeremy can pull up that Joe Scarborough.
Yeah, do it.
Because you think we're exaggerating here about how crazy these folks are in the Trump derangement syndrome. You hear a lot, but it's alive and well. And we come back and we'll talk about that. Then we're going to move on to this whole rape denial culture that seems to be prevalent on the left in terms of the war over in Israel and Gaza. This is Alan Autry, No Retreat with Guillermo Moreno. We'll be right back. Now, Jeremy, soon if you can find that clip, the Joe Scarborough clip, if it's available. Well,
just Google Cheney. Just Google Liz Cheney.
No, Google
dictator.
Scarborough.
Oh, Scarborough.
I've looked at those others, and they're too long. They don't have the clip that just has her saying that. He'll look forever trying to get through that. But Scarborough is saying the same thing. Scarborough Cheney just as outrageous that if he becomes president, he will lock up and execute. He'll execute you. It's even kind of more.
He said he would execute.
Yes. Where do you see this thing? I mean, they've lost their minds. We're still on social media, aren't we?
Yeah.
I don't mind.
You don't smell the tar?
I'm behind this. Huh?
You don't smell the tar? I think they're doing roof work next door.
A little bit. No, this was Scarborough.
It says 1 day ago.
Scarborough.
It probably is. It says 1 day ago. Click on it.
Yeah, but how long is it? I don't know if we'll get.
Passing day.
That's 12 minutes. Click on the first one. That was only 1 or 2 minutes.
Oh, wait, no.
But it says a day ago.
That's Rachel.
Let me ask you about.
Oh, maybe it was her.
It was on Maddow when she said it.
It's going to be that one.
But I don't know if how long is that?
2 minutes.
Like
Oh, okay. It's got to be.
It'll be in there.
We'll take a gamble on it.
Just fast forward to her real quick. That way we don't have to hear her, Rachel.
Jack Smith on the left of the Capitol. Look at this.
Right there.
Look at this guy. Jack Smith. We're looking at Jack Smith, folks. I mean, this guy, boy, he looks like a serial killer, doesn't he? I'm just saying looks like. I'm not saying he is. Jeez, I got to watch everything I say, but they'll edit that out. Autry says Jack Smith looks like a serial killer. Okay, let's go.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're going to listen to a little soundbite. We don't know exactly how long this is. Well, it's about a minute. Hopefully it's the one I want where Liz Cheney says what Guillermo thinks that no one said, that maybe I was exaggerating. Maybe I was hyperbolic. You like that word?
I do. It's
you
a big word.
You can use that word with the kids.
All right.
When you're teaching them. But here she is with Rachel Maddow. Let's hope this is the right cut.
In the scenario Ellis described, when Pence was presiding, he could either refuse to open or refuse to count the electoral votes. So they don't necessarily know you're on this call. You're listening in. It's 2 days before January 6th. Was
this is
that the moment when it really became clear to you in detail what they were going to try to do?
Yes. I had heard, obviously, there had been talk about we're going to have these electors meet. I think Stephen Miller had been talking about that, but it wasn't clear to me.
No, she's going to go. I don't think this is
the contours of this particular part of the plan were.
Let's cut it. Jeremy will find it here, and we'll play it for you tomorrow. But trust me, and see if maybe you can find the Scarborough cut while we're.
Well, let me ask you, Trump did respond to it with Hannity last night, saying that he would. I'm only going to be the dictator for the first day, just one day.
And you got the context of that.
Yeah,
he said he's going to close down the border and drill. I mean, he can do that. Now, where's that a threat to democracy? In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's giving you more freedom.
Yeah, but
freedom from people coming across the border. 8 million people that you don't know who they are.
Yeah, and Brian Kilmeade was roasting him because he said that. He's like, "Come on, man, just be serious about it. You're not going to be a dick." And that's not the guy. That's not him. He's going to make a joke about it because it's ridiculous.
And people know what he meant by that.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to make fun of it because it's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah,
like we talked about, it's ridiculous. You can't. If you keep the Constitution in place in this country, now you go after the Constitution and dismiss that, which the far left wants to do. And you just start all over again, there is no checks and balances in there. There's no 3 branches of government that are equal that the Founding Fathers envisioned for times such as this, to make sure that in the midst of chaos that you didn't let a dictator emerge or created institutions that would offer a greater resistance to that type of occurrence. That's why and over in France, they never understood that. I mean, they had this Rousseau, this philosopher during the French Revolution, because the French Revolution and American Revolution happened about the same time. And he could never understand the co-equal branches of government. He still thought you could build institutions. It was about getting the right people. If you just get the right people in place in the institutions, they'll be fair and magnanimous towards the populace. And that was taken on the concept that people are inherently good and really don't do evil things. Whereas the American Revolution took the opposite, that you might have some good people, but we're all flawed and we're all tempted to take power and abuse it, even the best of us. So they built a country based on a concept that you needed to do the best you can institutionally to prevent that type of megalomaniac like a Hitler coming to office. So that's the difference. And what the funny thing about Rousseau is he was in prison when he was doing these musings and writing. And the ironic thing is if he would have supported the co-equal branches, he wouldn't have been in prison. He was put in prison by a dictatorship there or a benevolent king. And so I thought it was kind of ironic. Okay. We're starting to see something, Guillermo, in the Democratic Party that I am really glad to see. I'm heartened to see it. I would have picked any other way for the left to get on the road to enlightenment, to get on the road to common sense, to get on the road that America is not inherently evil and systemically racist, that we're an imperfect country, but by every measure, we're the best beacon of freedom, if you value freedom, that the history of the world has ever seen. That's been kind of a battle of common sense at the left. It's turned its back on. They've let this far left woke ideology, because I got a theory. I think if you're on the left and you completely lose your mind, you become woke and Antifa. If you're on the right and you completely lose your mind, you become QAnon. Okay, that's just, and you have elements of both parties that completely lost their mind, and the people that are free thinking in the middle don't know how to handle the crazy folks. They're afraid of them. I mean, they're like the guy carrying the hammer and going after Paul Pelosi. You don't want to upset them. You got to mollify them. Hey, sit down, let's talk. That's how you treat this left. But on this case of a bridge too far, where you have people on the left, in particular the Squad, and this Representative Rayapal, I forget what state is she from?
Is it Minnesota?
I think it's Minnesota.
I don't know, that's going to bug me now.
Using the whataboutism that the left always uses against conservatives when a point is brought up about Biden's handling of the border of Afghanistan, they'll say, well, what about Trump, what he did, or what about the conservative views on this, and that? They always qualify it to justify the behavior and the decisions of Biden and other people on the left. But the situation with this invasion of Israel by this Hamas, about 10,000 Hamas soldiers, where they wantonly, brutally beheaded babies, burnt babies, raped women, took hostages back to Gaza. We've had some of the hostages free that talked about the sexual rape, because rape is a tool that in people without morals, armies without morals, historically have used as a tool to get control and dominate the people that they're seeking to dominate, in this case, the Israelis. And henceforth, because of that, Hamas has refused to release any more of the women because they said they're going to go and spread lies about the rape when they have on video them raping during the attack. So they're not going to rape when they take them back to Gaza. They're going to rape them on camera there. Come on, give me a break. Well, the left, Rhea Paul, let's listen, because something very interesting. Do you have that Rhea Paul clip?
She's from Washington State.
Washington State. Dana on CNN, I'm watching this. Dana Bash, of all people, pushes back on Rhea Paul's, well, rape is bad, but, Hamas is bad, but this. And Dana Bash calls her out on this. Usually when they give a soft, an answer, a far left reporter, gives a question, a hard question to a far left representative, and they don't answer the question, they just let them off the hook. You know what I'm talking about. You see it all the time, CNN, especially MSNBC. But let's listen to this clip and watch this clip if you're on social media.
I've seen a lot of progressive women, generally speaking, they're quick to defend women's rights and speak out against using rape as a weapon of war.
This is Dana Bash.
But downright silent on what we saw on October 7th and what might be happening inside Gaza right now to these hostages. Why is that?
I mean, I don't know that that's true. I think we always talk about the impact of war on women in particular. I've condemned what Hamas has done. I've condemned all of the actions. Absolutely. The rape, of course. But I think we have to remember that Israel is a democracy. That is why they are a strong ally of ours. And if they do not comply with international humanitarian law, they are bringing themselves to a place that makes it much more difficult strategically for them to be able to build the kinds of allies, to keep public opinion with them. And frankly, morally, I think we cannot say that one war
Rhea Paul thinks she's going to get out of this right now at this point.
What international humanitarian law says.
Okay, with respect, I was just asking about the women, and you turned it back to Israel. I'm asking you about Hamas. In fact,
I already answered your question, Dana. I said it's horrific, and I think that rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations. Terrorist organizations like Hamas obviously are using these as tools. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the outrages against Palestinians. 15,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes, 3/4 of whom are women and children.
And it's horrible, but you don't see Israeli soldiers raping.
Well, Dana, I think we're not. I don't want this to be a hierarchy of oppressions.
Wow. Yes, you are embracing a hierarchy of oppressions.
I didn't see that. I didn't catch that.
That's
before.
CNN, folks. And that's not they have two gals, Katie Phillips and Laura Coates, there now that are taking the place of Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. And let me tell you, I don't agree with a lot of where they stand, but they are good reporters. They will ask the tough questions of Democrats and far left. In fact, Abby Phillip will hopefully get a clip of her interviewing another leader in Congress about another subject that they just don't let them off the hook as easy as that. But you got to realize this Rhea Paul, the squad, and the whole left in general talking about rape. This is the same group that went after Brett Kavanaugh for alleged conversation when he was in high school.
That's such a good point.
And said you should believe these two women that came forward that Brett Kavanaugh horribly raped two women based on a little conversation that was not incriminating at all for Kavanaugh when he was 16 years old. And you're going after that guy and just dismembering him politically, he and his family, yet you have these atrocities by Hamas, rape of women, and you want to play whataboutism. You know, well, anytime you hear, but you're making a comparison.
She did it twice.
Yes.
She did it twice.
And let me tell you, you use but, this is horrible, but, and you make up some excuse why they did it. I'm sorry, you're trying to create justification for the action. I mean, it's like, you know, I know Lee Harvey Oswald blew John Kennedy's brains out, but he did sanction the Bay of Pigs invasion, and he had a lot of innocent people killed. You know, you sit there and go, you know, John Wilkes Booth killed President Lincoln, shot his head off, you went behind him, but many people thought Abraham Lincoln was a tyrant. So it was justifiable to a certain degree. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer, he kills somebody and kills these people and he eats them. Well, he was hungry.
It's bad, but...
You know, it's bad, but, you know, the guy was really starving. He hadn't eaten since breakfast, and he just had oatmeal. He needed some good... I mean, that is what you're saying when you say, but how... You have to condemn it, draw a line of demarcation there, leave it alone, then take up the other conversation, the other topic. Your
Alan,
turn.
You're
Go
right on the money. And that's what it is. Deep down inside, and I forgot what congressman I heard, when Israel played the videos to Congress, because remember, they invited Congress members to go watch some of these horrific videos. That congressman said, I think AOC was in the room. He had said that once everybody left, no one spoke, even the left. Everybody was quiet. So, and Jayapal knows what went on. These congressmen and women know what went on. Deep down in my heart, I genuinely want them to feel and say, you know what, you know, this is wrong. There's no moral equivalency. It doesn't matter if, and you can be pro-Palestinian. That's your choice. This is America. You can be pro-Hamas. That's your choice. Because this is the greatest country in the world. I don't agree with it, but that is your choice. If you're trying to figure out a way to somehow justify, because that's what they're all doing. They're trying to find a way to justify, okay, that happened, but they're still alive, and you know, you have 15,000 people dead. And I don't like death. I think it's wrong. However, and then I'm doing the Jayapal thing. However, you know,
well, there's a place for a however. No, there is. There's a place for a but, however, but there's cases where there is no justification.
Yeah. And this is where they're doing a gut check, Alan. They're doing a gut check. All those individuals that have been supporting Hamas right now, when the videos have come out, when they don't release these female hostages, not only female, there's kids too, and then they branded the kids. You know, all these individuals, you could support whoever you want, but you really got to do a gut check. And I think I would have more respect for these individuals if they said, you know what, yeah, it is what it is. They did it. And if they would just look you in the eye, but telling you, yeah, they did, but they did something bad too. It really, it's disconcerting. But this is where we are, Alan. Even with the atrocities that they committed on October 6th, even with the rape, even with the branding, even with everything, you still have, it's insane, you still have a good segment of the American population that say, well, yeah, but it's not just Jayapal doing it, Alan.
Yeah.
You have hundreds of thousands of people in the United States.
I get that. It is insanely, insanely, I wouldn't call it naive. If at the risk of being redundant, it's insanely crazy for anybody who values human life, values decency, values humanity, to support Hamas and draw any moral equivalence to anything that Hamas has done. Now, you want to talk the Islamic movement, the two-state solution and all, that's a different subject. But even in that context, I can understand some men who were raised up since they came out of their mother's womb to hate Jews, to hate Israel, to kill them out of a sense of duty, no remorse. men, women, and children, because that's back in that 12th century stuff that's taught in radical Islam. Not Islam, radical Islam.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand, because it happened in Nazi Germany, but it was mostly men. For the life of me, I can't understand a woman supporting this regime. You see what they do to women. You think they don't do it in Gaza? You think Hamas didn't run around raping women? That's what Saddam Hussein and his gang of thugs, led by his 2 sons, did in Iraq to Muslim women. They would go into a nightclub, pick out who they wanted, take the women from their boyfriends or husbands. If the husbands resisted, they were killed. And they went into these torture chambers and sex chambers and all of that. These are the same. This is a ideology that said a woman is to do exactly what her husband says, and if not, you have an honor killing. You can kill your daughter if they talk back to you. You think I'm exaggerating? You would have thought what happened on October 7th would be an exaggeration. If you said there's people so hateful that hate Israel so much, they're going to invade and they're going to behead kids, burn kids, rape women, video it, and send it back to the parents. If you told me that was going to happen, they'd say, Autry, you are just off the rocker. You are just Islamophobic on this. How could a woman, you're talking about a woman's rights? They're having this on abortion, having the right to abortion. You know what happens? You abort your baby under Hamas rule? Check it out. There is no abortions allowed at all.
Alan.
You can go on and on. How in the world can a woman ever give one iota of support to Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad? It's beyond me.
Well, how do you not have some of the pro-feminist groups in America not come out and really going to the streets on this stuff?
All right, I'm going to ask you the tough questions. Tough question. What's going on? How do you do your best to dig in? To me, it's just evil overcoming women.
I'll tell you what's going
on. I mean, you take a woman.
We have totally
takes down a picture of a child that's been kidnapped and maybe dead, killed by this group, and you have such low regard for their right to exist and so low of a respect for humanity, you rip that poster down. Go ahead,
Alan. This is now it's a big game. And it's almost as if you're watching your football team. You don't care how they get to the end zone. You don't care what they do. If they got to come out with a crowbar or with a bat, beat the other team, as long as they get that ball in the end zone, you don't care what they do. Unfortunately, with a lot of the movements, and you see this on every side, it doesn't matter what it is. Unfortunately, that's what you see, I think, with Jay Paul and this entire group, where it's like, well, yeah, they did all that bad stuff, but the end goal is the 2-state solution.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the end goal. So
but it's not with them.
It's almost they're numb, right? They're desensitized.
They don't want the 2-state solution.
Well, no, that's true. They want the 1-state solution.
Exactly right,
and they do, and that's why. Because you're asking me, hey, why aren't you seeing these feminist groups? Why aren't you seeing it? Because at the end of the day, they don't care about any of this in between. They only care about the end goal, and if that end goal is
murder whoever you need to get there,
and be silent,
even women,
and be silent until then, because that's the only justification. That's the only way I can see it. But do they
flash forward and say, if you get what you want, you may have relatives in Gaza completely under Hamas rule. You have no right under Hamas rule to go out and protest like you do in America. If you're going to a school in Gaza, if they even allow women to go to school. No, you don't get to go out. How could you support shutting down what you're doing and valuing, being able to speak out against Israel? That would be gone. Are you just, I'm going to say it, are you so in love with toxic masculinity? Because it's not even toxic masculinity, it's just toxicity. Do you love women haters? Do you love a party full of misogynists so much that you're willing to give your life and your freedom to them? You know, that's what it boils down to. That's what I can't get my arms on. You say it's like a team football. Let me tell you, there's nothing more competitive than professional football. But I guarantee you, when the Buffalo Bill DB was laying on that ground, fighting for his life, the other team, I forget who they were playing, were not sitting there pulling for that young man to die. The team that we're playing was pulling for him to live. That's not the case here.
I agree.
It goes beyond
politics is worse than
well. I think it goes beyond. Breed. I think it goes beyond there. I think it's a complete saturation of evil that has eaten away the very soul.
Yeah.
Whether it be man or woman, that hate. They say love is the most powerful force on earth, and I believe that. But let me tell you something. Hate is nipping at love's heels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the time. Don't ever underestimate the power of hate. And you want to use Hitler appropriately? When their goal was to get rid of 10 million Jews. They got 6.2 million. And you had very smart people that participated. Good people that just went crazy. Went nuts. All of these women that are out there supporting Hamas, they were probably at one time good. And I'm not passing judgment on them whether they go to heaven or hell. Even if it's their last breath, I hope they confess what they've done and ask for forgiveness from Jesus Christ. That's my hope for all of them. But in the meantime, I think it's our moral obligation to speak out against this and speak out strongly, whether you're on Salem News Network, you're on Fox, CNN, or you're at the little studio in Fresno, California with the little influence that we have, that you're out there telling the truth, especially when you know, a lot of people talk, well, this is a matter of life and death. Well, it really is with this. And you got to call it out. And it just, it amazes me that women in particular have, you know, and then they've been fed this lie that October 7th didn't happen, just like the Holocaust didn't happen. You hear them on the street going, the Jews killed their own people. Those were Jews that came across the fence. Don't believe your lying eyes with the video. Don't believe the video that Hamas took and sent to the families. It was actually Israeli soldiers masquerading as Hamas. They believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, you know, I look here locally, BLM. You get this far left ideology, these young kids in the schools and in their neighborhoods being led by these nonprofits who hate white people, who've been making millions off of social and racial division, telling gullible people that police go out every day and kill over 1,000 unarmed young black men every year. They have statistics to believe that. It's what many in Chicago believe because they've been raised. So if somebody's doing that, you can demonize them because you can do anything to those animals. Police become animals. They just go out and so you can do anything you want to them. You can have a riot, 35 people killed, collateral damage because you're either Hitler, the devil, being actually a policeman, but if you don't support the protest, then you're an accessory with the devil. So you deserve to die. Oh, no? Well, ask the family of David Dorn. Shot dead just outside of his business, trying to protect his business. A black former policeman shot through the chest, dead with these rioters. So this inculcation, that's why I talk about the school system, this CRT that's being taught, this programming. They're not being fair and truthful in their representation of America, who America is. I mean, you talk to them, these Ivy League graduates. I saw it on TV, and it wasn't Fox. It wasn't Fox. They asked him, well, what about Thomas Jefferson? What do you know about Thomas Jefferson? And I think he graduated from Cornell. Oh, he was a slave owner. Well, how about George Washington? I was a slave owner. And you sit there and go, well, they did a couple of other things. Too. Did you learn that? Like the Constitution that's allowing you the freedoms to speak out against the government right there? Do you know that they did that? Do you know that George Washington wanted his slaves released? Mm-hmm. And that's not a but. You can use a but with that. And on the reverse, hey, we got a lot of freedoms in this country, but we have a long way to go with them. Absolutely appropriate.
Preach it, Alan.
But I mean, really, do you believe there's certain things that does not a but or a however or that notwithstanding, where it's just not appropriate. When you rape women, decapitate children, burn innocent children, you don't say, well, because you deserve that. They deserve it because they're descendants of occupiers of what should be a rightfully Palestinian state. They had nothing to do with that. They were dancing. They were dancing with their family. They have no. You probably had some, Palestinian supporters. In fact, we know that there were. They didn't discriminate between that. They just come in and you were there. You got killed, beheaded, or taken hostage. You can't stand up against that. What in the world? So when you criticize Israel for having the guts to go do what has to be done, because you know who thinks like us, Guillermo? Not just the Israelis, not just clear-thinking, moral Americans. People over there in the Middle East. You brought this up the other day.
Arabs,
Saudi Arabia. Yeah. The only one that doesn't is probably Iran.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep speaking on this. This is something and I sense the tide turning. That's why this Dana bashing. Way to go, Dana Bash. I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
Way to go. Amen to that, yeah.
But hopefully we can do that on this show. I know you do it. You're able to bifurcate, silo things, saying, hey, I disagree with her on her questioning with this individual and playing gotcha in debates, all right? But over here, I support you. Dadgum, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Right?
Well said, Alan.
All right, Guillermo, Moreno, Jeremy. Boy, it was great being back in the saddle again. I know we had a lot of serious stuff to talk about here, and we got to keep it on the front burner. I just feel it's a calling that I have. I don't like to do it. I really don't. But I do feel a sense of responsibility to say what's on my heart every day, and I know I speak for Guillermo and Jeremy here. God bless you. God bless America, and just keep doing your best and let God do the rest, and everything's going to turn out the way it's supposed to. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
Who cares about the clouds if we're together?